Hi, welcome back. It's Anna
and Rose,
coming to you from the Mystery Parlor.
Our previous listener story episode was about family members coming into a new faith in a house that wasn't happy about it. If you want to hear how it turned out, check out episode number 4.
We are going to start today with a story about Frank, sent in by his wife, Trish.
Frank and Trish were 40-somethings just living their best lives. On a Thursday, mid-morning, Trish received a call at work that would forever change her life and Frank's. The call was from a paramedic that was transporting her husband Frank to the hospital.
Frank had fallen. Someone had left a cable across a walking path that blended in with the walkway. People fall every day. Usually they get up and go on with life as usual. Maybe suffering a bump or bruise or even a broken bone. Frank, on the other hand, could not get up because he could not move at all. Luckily, someone found him within minutes.
The call to Trish was terrifying. She could hear Frank telling the paramedics that he did not want to live if he was going to be paralyzed. They held the phone to Frank's ear, and Trish let him know that he was in good hands and that she would meet up with him at the hospital.
Thankfully, by the time Trish reached the hospital, Frank was regaining sensation in his fingers and toes. His main injury was in his neck, which was causing the paralysis. Over the next few days, he was able to begin moving his arms and legs as well.
They opted for a neck surgery that would help Frank recover more movement. It took a year of physical therapy, interrupted by a second, separate diagnosis, to get Frank to where he is today.
Frank is self-sufficient again, able to do all the basics, drive, and is enjoying life. Sadly, he never fully recovered. He walks with a cane or sometimes a walker, and his stance is bent forward and his gait is slow. He can't run, golf, or pick up anything heavy.
The process of workman's comp during Frank's recovery involved lawyers on both sides, during which his employer's attorney had Frank's medical records reviewed.
The doctors reviewing the case found Frank's injuries consistent with the claims, but they also found something else, something concerning. Something on one of his kidneys that wasn't related to the work injury, but needed to be checked out right away.
After seeing specialists, having too many tests to count, and multiple medical opinions, it was concluded that in addition to his injuries from the fall, Frank had kidney cancer. Luckily, it was caught early and was curable.
It has been 6 years since his life changed by the accident. It is hard to think he will never do some of the things that he loved and planned for because of his injuries. And it's almost certain he would not have found and treated the cancer early had he not fallen.
The craziest part of this story to us is that the opposing side of lawyers caught the cancer.
It's almost as if the fall happened for a reason. Next, we have a UAP, or UAP's plural, story from a pilot named Pete. He has been a pilot for 34 years and has worked for both cargo and passenger commercial companies. Pete has mostly flown 747s during his career as a pilot.
Pete and his co-pilots have seen many UAPs over the years. He stated most commercial pilots will privately admit to seeing things all the time. Pete never reported anything officially he has seen, and he doesn't personally know of any other pilots that have reported what they have witnessed either.
Pete flies all over the world weekly. He says there are UAPs everywhere. He has only seen things at night, which makes it a bit more difficult to describe some of them. He told us a satellite is very common and easily identifiable. He assumes he has seen numerous military prototypes from governments near and far. Basically, most of the UAPs he has seen could be explained away.
But then there's that one thing he and his co-pilot observed one night in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
They were flying cargo back to the U.S. from China. The plane was at an altitude of 38,000 feet, which is pretty high. They can go a little higher, but they usually don't. The speed of the plane was approximately 600 miles per hour, which is just over 3/4 the speed of sound.
Pete's co-pilot was the first to notice a set of lights coming towards them from high above, higher than the 42,000-foot altitude maximum height for commercial planes. As the lights approached, they stopped at an uncomfortably close distance from the plane and hovered, almost like they were observing them.
Then, very suddenly, the lights shot off into the distance and over the horizon and disappeared at a speed that made the plane they were flying in seem as if it was standing still.
The UAP did not turn around prior to leaving. The two lights remained facing the airplane the entire time, meaning it came and went without changing direction, seemingly able to move in any direction at any time or hover at will.
Pete and his co-pilot did not get a good description of the UAP, although they felt that it was larger than the plane that they were flying in. It was nighttime, dark, and he compared it to a car coming at you on a dark roadway. You don't see the actual car until it is passing you. You only see the lights.
Here's a bit of info from Pilot Pete that is even more concerning than UAPs. He said one thing he sees all the time is meteorites, and even though it's a great big sky out there, he's surprised that one hasn't hit a plane or two or more yet.
Maybe that's what happened to Malaysia Airlines flight MH370.
Do you think we'll ever find out what happened to that flight? Answer the poll and let us know. Also, we would love to hear more pilot stories. Anyone out there want to share theirs?
You can send them to us by using the link in the description. We even promise to keep them anonymous. Now, our last listener story comes from a lady who asked us to change her name. Rose and I looked at each other and both said, Sabrina, at the exact same time. So here it is, Sabrina's story.
Sabrina and her great-grandfather were close. She has great memories of him being there throughout her childhood. Sadly, he passed away while she was in middle school.
The week following her great-grandfather's passing, Sabrina came home from practice to what she thought was an empty house, other than her two dogs, that is. It was late evening and dark outside.
She grabbed something to eat and then headed up to her mom's bathroom to wash her makeup off. Her two little doodle dogs followed her upstairs and into the bathroom. One was laying at her feet on the rug and the other was in the doorway.
The vanity had a trifold mirror to see all angles when getting ready. As Sabrina stood up straight from rinsing her face in the sink, she could see in all three mirrors an apparition standing behind her that distinctly looked like a man, her great-grandpa to be precise.
At the same time, one of her little dogs began to growl. Sabrina only saw the spirit for a brief second. She and her dogs ran as fast as they could down the stairs and straight out the front door.
Luckily, she had grabbed her cell phone from the vanity counter on her way out of the bathroom. Sabrina first called her parents, who promised to come home right away. Then her best friend Ruth, who stayed on the phone with her until her family returned.
When they arrived home, Sabrina's dad and brother checked the house for an intruder or to see if anything was out of place. There was nothing or no one to be found.
Sabrina was still a bit shook up, but felt much better once her family was home and she no longer was alone. Her dogs both slept in her room that night, and she hasn't seen or heard from her great-grandfather since.
Sabrina stated that was the only time she ever saw anything supernatural, but she did have another possible paranormal experience when she was in college.
As an animal lover, she would often pet sit for neighbors when she was home for the summer. One house she stayed at for a week was particularly noisy, especially at night. Sabrina was sleeping in a guest room on the first floor and was woken up at night on several occasions each night by what sounded like footsteps coming from the upper floor.
It was a gated community, and the house had a state-of-the-art security system. So she figured it was normal house noises that just sounded like footsteps. Maybe it was a water softener, filtering system, the air conditioning.
It was a little unsettling that one of the family pets seemed to hear and react to the noises as well, but they'd all fall back to sleep until it happened again and again. It was a nightly occurrence, and frankly, Sabrina just got used to it.
When the homeowner returned, Sabrina mentioned the nightly noises just in case it was something new that needed to be looked into or fixed.
Well, they did know about the noises, and they had them fixed several times by saging or smudging the house, which is burning sage or Paleo Santo to, did I say that wrong? Palo,
Yeah.
not paleo. This isn't a diet, people. Palo Santo, to rid the space of negative energy, but the footsteps always returned within weeks.
From that moment on, Sabrina always found a reason to be busy anytime this particular neighbor needed a house sitter.
And that's what we have for you today. An accidental medical discovery that could be considered string theory, a pilot's account of a UAP that he and his co-pilot encountered, and a few ghosts and one girl.
We truly appreciate our listeners and would love to hear your paranormal, coincidence, and unexplained stories for our upcoming listener story episodes. You can send us an email using the link in the description. We promise to read and respond to all messages.
If you'd like to help us bring you the best spooky content, information, and all the episodes we are researching sooner than later, Rose is going to share how you can help support the Mystery Parlor.
We have created a page on a website called Buy Me a Coffee, where you can support us by giving us a one-time donation or subscribing to us for exclusive content. You can find this at the link in the description.
Your support will help us with things like upgrading our equipment, planning on-site episodes, arranging for guest speakers, and more frequent episodes.
You can stay up to date on new episodes by following us on Instagram too.
Thanks for listening.
Bye for now.